UFC 325 was last Saturday. I'm going to break down how every fight went. I will get rage baited talking about some of the fights just because it was stupid. Starting off with my picks 7 for 13. Not bad. Not bad card for me, but overall, it definitely should have been better. I forget why I chose Brundage KO, but definitely should have went Rouston by legit anything. KO sub decision would have got me more points on Tapology, and it would just been a better pick. Lawrence Liu, Sungarangbo. I don't even know if I'm saying that right, but this fight, I'd probably give it about 6.5 out of 10. It was a solid fight, a little back and forth fight. Didn't have Liu winning, but also at the same time, he did deserve the win. Liu had good pressure. His striking definitely has improved since his last fight. He had solid takedowns, didn't do much with them. Wish he did a little more with the takedowns, just because he would lay on the guy, just wouldn't do too much. No really, just pressuring him. No really strikes or anything like that. In my opinion, he's definitely not a top 15 fighter. I do not think he will have a very good UFC career. He could win a couple fights, but then he will eventually start getting knocked out just because of his chin. Is solid, but it's not that good to where he can keep pressuring you to the point where he can get in some wars and then eventually just lose. I don't think he's going to get into the top 15. I don't think he's going to get into the top 15. He has a solid chin, but I don't think it's that solid enough to have a very good UFC career and just keep walking other guys down and just keep doing that every single fight. I feel like he is going to take a certain amount of damage to the point where his chin's just going to fade, and especially if he doesn't keep taking his time with fights and he rushes into fights like 4 fights a year, 5 fights a year, I don't think his chin will withstand that much damage, because I do think he can get caught by a very talented striker, but at the same time, who knows. Surangbo, he had solid striking. He had good power behind his shots. Definitely wish I seen a little more out of him though with his striking. He did have some good combos, but at the same time, he would kind of be a little too patient with them. He did have good fast combos, which is a plus. I do think he would be a valuable asset to the UFC, but at the same time, I don't think he'll get a contract just yet. I think they'll let him fight 2-3 more times, then maybe sign him. But he does need to work on his takedown defense, just because when he would circle out, he would just get taken down instantly. Nakamura, Sebastian, I do think this was a really good fight. I definitely give it an 8 out of 10. Very, very close fight. Very close fight. Sebastian dominated it for about 2 rounds. Then he kind of coasted. Nakamura got the KO. He did what he had to do after losing 2 rounds. He dropped 2 rounds. He kept getting pieced up on the feet a little bit, but he did land some good shots. But at the same time, he just didn't do enough to win the 2 rounds. He came back, knocked him out with a knee, I believe, and just sat him down, hit him 2-3 times, and then fully got him out of there. Then they called the fight. I do think in the future, though, he does need to be active in the early rounds, just because he was dropping rounds pretty fast, only because he wasn't being active. He was standing there. He wasn't really doing much. He was kind of like starstruck because Sebastian just kept putting it on him, hitting him with leg kicks, hitting him with body kicks, and just kept piecing him up. Solid performance. He did gas himself out just because he did have a little too much output. I do think he could have toned it back a little bit. He did really good though. He definitely could have got Nakamura out of there at some point, but he just didn't capitalize it. He was kind of too patient. I think he should have probably took his time with it because he was finding his chin. He was finding the kicks, the leg kicks, the body kicks. Pretty much fought a perfect fight, but I do think he just threw too many punches just because he thought he could get Nakamura out of there. Hopefully, Sebastian does get signed to the UFC. I think he'd be a great addition to the UFC. His striking is up there with a lot of the top prospects, so I think he'd make a lot of good fights, especially against these guys in the bantamweight division. He does need to work on his cardio, just because he did gas out in the 3rd round, like I said, but I think it will improve, and overall, I do think he will come back better than ever. 7 out of 10 fight. Fans' ability just to take punches was crazy. He got beat up on the feet. He got beat up on the ground. He just got beat up in general. Overall, I do think he would be a good addition to the UFC, but I don't think he's there yet. All he had was takedowns. The only impressive part was the ability just to keep walking Wook down, and just take the punches he was throwing at him. Wook, good striking. His wrestling was up there too. This guy's a dog. Every time he got hit, he was smiling, laughing it off. Dominated on the feet. He definitely going to be a solid prospect in the UFC, but I don't think he's going to be anything too special. Well, it's too early to tell, but I just don't think he's going to be anything special just yet. I do think he does need a lot of development. We got Olfi, we got Iza. Sorry, I should say Khan, the robber Olfi, because this guy somehow won the fight when he got dominated in 2 rounds, in my opinion. Not fully dominated, but he got dominated in the second round. And then the third round, he definitely didn't win it. Olfi had a good first round, but he just couldn't get the takedowns in this fight. I don't think he won this fight at all. He did get dropped in the second round, and then he got rocked a couple times in the second round as well, but he stayed in the fight. He's definitely very tough, but I just wasn't impressed by his performance whatsoever. And then he celebrated at the end, acting like he just dominated Yiza when Yiza put it on him for the last 2 rounds. Yiza, he had a slow first round, but then he dominated round 2. I would probably even say it was a 10-8, so it could have been a draw, but I do think I have Yiza winning 29-28. I don't know how he lost round 3. He had 2 takedowns, and then he outstruck Olfi by probably 10 strikes, I think. I could be wrong on that, but it was like 5 to 10 strikes he outstruck him by. Definitely can't stat watch during fights, but at the same time, I didn't think Olfi won that third round. He just got outstruck, and then he did get taken down twice. One of my favorite prospects coming up right now, Jonathan Mikhailov. Then you got Obain Elliott. Obain Elliott's the dog, but in my opinion, Mikhailov is just way better. He's a dog, but here's the thing. He had solid striking defense, but he was getting sniped a little bit by Obain. Obain was fine in his range. He had his timing down, and overall, he was just picking him apart a little bit. Mikhailov, he had some good power. I think he almost dropped him. He didn't fully drop him. I did think he dropped him, but the stats don't show it, so I guess we won't count it. But overall, Mikhailov just dominated him on the ground in the second round after dropping the first round. But his power is definitely very impressive. I'm impressed with his win, especially the ability to finish Obain, because Obain, no one really finishes Obain except the one guy he talked shit to, and then he got fucking smoked. Even though Mikhailov got the win, Obain was walking him down. He picked his shots well. He did look way better than his last fight. His last fight, he looked like a deer in headlights. But overall, round 2, he was finding his shots, started to take over on the feet, and then Mikhailov just started to take over on the ground. So we got Jacob, and then we got the trash can himself, Torres Finney. I was impressed with Jacob's performance. Very, very good performance, in my opinion. Torres did tear his ACL, I believe, in round 1, he said. I think it was more round 2. You could definitely tell, but I couldn't tell in round 1. Jacob, he smoked him. Jacob smoked him. I was not impressed with Finney at all, even though he tore his ACL. But overall, the guy only has takedowns. He's gassed after his arms are gassed, at least, after 5 strikes thrown, and he was slowly gassing. But I do think Torres can become a solid prospect if he was to actually start striking. But this guy only wants to wrestle, and that's the only way he wins is wrestling. But overall, Torres Finney did get fraud checked. That guy is a bum. Next fight, Rouston, Brundage. 7 out of 10, I'd probably say. Brundage still proves he has horrible cardio. He has some good power. I think he did rock Rouston a little bit. It wasn't like too bad where his legs started giving out or anything, but he definitely made Rouston open his eyes a little more. But overall, Rouston did prove he's a solid prospect, going to be a good asset to the UFC going forward even more. He's willing to step up on short notice, especially in Australia. I do believe they are going back to Australia, so he'll probably get back on that card too. I do think his striking needs a little work. Overall, it was enough to gas out Brundage, but going forward, I do think he needs to improve it if he's going to beat anybody in the top 15 or close to the top 15. But overall, Brundage, my opinion, should have gone for more takedowns. This guy shot 1 takedown, then gave up. I just don't understand that, because if he shot a couple more takedowns, he would have won the fight, in my opinion. But who knows, because it didn't happen. This fight, I'm ranking it a 10 out of 10. Junior Tafa loses again. I was so happy to see Junior Tafa lose. I am not a big fan of the Tafa brothers. I legit fade them every time I bet because they are horrible. One of the 2 worst brothers in the UFC, I'd ever say. Tafa dropped Billy, but then Billy just started eating every shot he threw at him. He's the only fighter I know that can get a knockdown, not finish the guy, and then lose by decision or get subbed. And I think he's been subbed in his last 2 fights, one by Billy and one by Turco Turcos or something like that. But overall, Billy will be a solid prospect, but he is not top 15. This guy kind of sucks. I'm not gonna lie, his striking's He does have a good chin though, but overall, Billy's a dog. Quillen, one of my favorite prospects as well. Same with Mikhailov. I wish he got the KO, but Malarkey ate some of his best shots. His striking wasn't bad. His solid takedown defense. He did defend a lot of the takedowns at the start, but then once he did get taken down, he just got subbed. Honestly, I do think the UFC will do him a favor for filling on I think it's 4 to 5 days notice, I think it was. But overall, they're going to do him a favor, give him an easy layup. But wasn't bad performance for a short notice fight. Quillen, though, he did show that he is a threat on the ground. But overall, I wish he got that KO. So Tua Teixeira, one of the worst fights of the night, except for the third round. Round 1 and 2 were boring. Teixeira just wrestled him, and he started panic wrestling. You could tell he didn't even want to be really in the cage with Tua because he was putting it on Teixeira a little bit. He felt the power. Then he's like, you know what? I'm going to shoot a takedown and just lay on top of you. All this guy did was just wrestle him, and then he had a shit third round. He just didn't do nothing really. He went from a dangerous prospect to looking like not even UFC level. This guy should probably go back to kickboxing. I think they will cut Towson soon because I feel like a lot of people are going to find his chin and he's going to start panic wrestling. He's going to pull an Almeida. He's just going to start laying on people. All right. Ruffy, Fiziev. I was sad to see Fiziev lose. I wish he did win, but I'm a big Fighting Nerds fan, so good for Ruffy. He did train with Volk, so you could definitely see the championship mentality kind of going with Ruffy, but overall, crazy statement win. He's probably one of the best counterpunchers in the UFC. His counterpunches against Fiziev were phenomenal. Fiziev, he was so patient. I didn't agree with how patient he was being. He was kind of just standing in front of Ruffy, and Ruffy was just looking at him. But overall, I wish he did try to strike with him a little more. I know Ruffy is a very good counter striker, but overall, I wish it was kind of more a little back and forth. But it was just very technical, like kickboxing fight. Overall, though, very good fight. If you're going to watch any fight from that card, I'd probably go watch that. But except for the Volk fight. But overall, I'd say Ruffy definitely does look like a top 5 contender right now. Might as well give him, maybe even let him fight BSD again. I think they should run that back. I think even though BSD is on a streak, I think Ruffy definitely would show that he's on another level now, but you could also feed him to, I'm not even sure you could feed him to, but feed him to anybody, to be honest. Feed him to Hooker, let him KO Hooker. That'd be pretty funny. But Fiziev is going to need a bounce back win soon, so I don't know who they're going to give him to. Maybe like a prospect coming up. Right. St. Denis, Hooker. Man, it was kind of a hate watch for me because I don't really like Hooker because he just talks too much shit. And overall, he's not that good. I just never thought he was that good. His striking is good, but overall, he's just not that good. I do think BSD, though, one thing I took out of this fight was BSD is horrible at shooting takedowns. This guy will shoot a naked takedown, and it's the easiest thing to defend. His striking was okay, definitely pretty mid, not anything impressive. Like, if you were to watch his first 2-3 fights in the UFC, his striking then is way better than now. He did dominate Hooker on the ground, which is a plus. Not many people dominate Hooker on the ground, unless you're Armin. Hooker does need better takedown defense. Overall, he sucks. He sucks on the ground. He can't wrestle for shit unless you're shooting a blatant takedown. But overall, he just sucks. Hooker is so bad. When he does get taken down, he can't do anything. He just lays there. He's like O'Malley going against Merab the first time, just laying on his back, doing nothing, just coasting. He sucks on the ground. He's a good striker, don't get me wrong, but he needs to fight strikers. He can't fight guys who are even close to good grapplers or good wrestlers because he's just going to get smoked. All right, Volk versus Lopez. I had Lopez winning this fight, but I wasn't putting it past Volk to win a decision. The scorecards were a little iffy. I did agree with almost every one of them, except for 50-45. 50-45, giving Volk every round is criminal. Lopez guaranteed won that third round, in my opinion. He dropped Volk. I think that was enough to take the round because it was a very close round in general. Very technical fight, though. Lopez was just trying to trade in the pocket. Volk was taking those punches, and then he rocked Lopez more than Lopez rocked Volk. And Lopez just couldn't land a right and left hand. Like, he would throw the left hook, can't land that. Throw the right hook, can't land that. Volk definitely showed why he's the champ and why he has 5 title defenses now, because he's just so good. Definitely I would consider him a GOAT in the featherweight division. And who knows, they'll probably give Lopez Lerone Murphy or Musfar, whoever wins that fight, and then give him another title shot because for some reason they want Lopez to be the champ. He did break with his feet, but striking kind of sucks. All he does is have a good chin and just his hands. His hands have a lot of power in them, but like, here's the thing. He just can't beat someone who could take his punches. If you could take Lopez's punches, you could take his best shot, you're going to whoop this guy low-key on the feet, because this guy against technical strikers can't win unless he gets the KO. I think Lopez is a KO or bust type of guy because he does fade. At least if you're trading with him in the pocket, he will fade fast. If it go like Dan Ige, legit, or Dan Ige, he faded fast, but it's also due to the weight cut he had to do. He had to change weights like 3 times. But I just don't think Lopez is that good striking wise. All he has is good chin, good power, but at the same time, his combos are kind of shit. Because if you can at least miss, like if you can make him miss, you're going to beat Lopez, because if you can make him miss consistently, he's going to get mad. He's just going to go for kicks. And overall, you're just going to outstrike him. He will maybe try to wrestle you, but at the same time, if you have good wrestling, you're going to out-wrestle him. I do think Musfar beats Lopez overall, just because Musfar has some pretty good striking. Lopez has better power, better chin, but Musfar will mix it up on the ground. Back to Volk. I think this guy can fight for another 3 years. If he keeps fighting the way he does, I think he's just gonna take over the featherweight division again. He's gonna return to the same way he was before he lost to Islam twice and then lost to Elia. Maybe run Max versus him again. I don't think Max would come back though. Just as an entertaining money fight, maybe give Max a belt. But I think Volk should fight Lerone Murphy next if Lerone beats Musfar. If not, maybe fight Jean Silva if he gets a good opponent. But at the same time, Jean Silva got to fight either Musfar or Lerone Murphy for that number 1 contender spot. Vera Bautista is happening this Saturday. There will be a breakdown put out in the next day or two. I definitely do think that fight is very solid. Hopefully Oliveira wins, but who knows? Bautista is pretty good. Hopefully Oliveira claims that 10K bounty Guru has on his head for him getting knocked out, but hey, can only wish.